meeting to order. Do you have roll?
I do.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Greg,
Yep.
Maggie,
Here.
Rosemary,
Here.
and Matt's are not here.
Okay, can I get everyone to join me in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you. Presidents, welcome. Oh, reading the mission statement.
Our mission is to anticipate and provide services to meet the healthcare needs of the people we serve.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Approval of minutes. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes as mailed? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as mailed?
I move that the minutes is mailed.
Okay, do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all those vote. Roll call vote?
Greg,
Yes.
Maggie,
Yes.
Rosemary,
Yes.
Okay. Public comment. Members of the public are welcome to participate in the meeting of the board. Comments of the public will be accepted during the public comment portion of the agenda. No action or comments will be taken by the board on matters not on the agenda. Public comments on agenda items should be made at the time each item is considered. When the board president recognizes a member of the public for oral comment, such comments shall be 3 minutes or less at the discretion of the board president. We would like a calm presentation so the importance of what you are presenting is not overshadowed by the manner of your presentation. Any from the public? Okay. Not. Who has Michelle?
You do.
Okay.
Oh, I'm all in.
Yep.
So if I may introduce Rochelle Norian, and I probably said this wrong, Rochelle. She is our local representative from the California Special District Association, who's here today. If you want to come on in.
All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Rochelle Norian, and like your CEO said, I am with the California Special Districts Association, and I am relatively new to the organization. I was hired in November, but I've been out like crazy getting to know everyone and getting to learn what all of the special districts and my region perform for the community. I represent everything from Santa Cruz County down to Ventura County, so I have a long and big area to cover, but I'm really enjoying it. It's been fun getting out and getting great tours and seeing how special districts are just completely essential to the state of California. And I just want to say that the tour I took earlier today was just absolutely wonderful. I'm so impressed with this facility and how cheerful it is and the colors, and it's just really an amazing place. And so thank you for giving me the tour. I really appreciate that. While I'm new to the special district world, I'm not new to local government or state government. Like you, I serve my community as a Public Works and Transportation Commissioner for 8 years in the city of Santa Cruz, and I also am a former Santa Cruz City Council member as well. I also work for the state legislature for an assembly member, so I've seen the state side of things as well. So I hope to bring this knowledge to my position and really serve special districts well while I'm here. So I'm really, really happy today. I'm sorry, I have one of the wonderful eyesight where I can see everything really well except what's right in front of me. So if I take my glasses off and on, that is why. So I'm really happy today to be here to award a Special District Manager certification. This certification is a voluntary designation sought out by individuals who strive to be the best in their field. This certification requires a 2-hour exam covering various aspects of special district administration and gives successful candidates recognition unmatched by any other program in the state of California. And I also want to mention, it's not just the 2-hour exam that's part of this, but it's all of the study that goes into taking that exam as well as being able to pass it. And some of the aspects that this exam covers is governance, legal requirements, policy development, ethics in public service, strategic planning, and public finance. So it is quite a meaty certificate when someone earns this. And so why is it important for special district professionals to get this certificate? Well, one, it demonstrates commitment to the profession and to special districts. You stand out as one of the recognized best in field, and it reflects achievement and fulfillment to a set of standards and requirements that, you know, not every district meets. So the person who gets this certification is showing that they meet those wonderful standards. Obviously, it improves overall skills and knowledge, and it does offer greater professional recognition from peers and agency governing boards. And another reason why it's important is your own constituents see that you take governance and openness and transparency very seriously. So when they see their tax dollars going to support a service, they feel pretty good about how their district is being run. So that's another reason why we think this certificate is really important. So on behalf of the board and staff of the Special District Leadership Foundation, it's my pleasure to present Ida Lopez-Chan as the Certified Special District Manager in recognition of successful completion of the exam, a high level of knowledge and expertise in areas of special district management and governance, and a strong commitment to the community. Congratulations. Thank you so much and I know that we have a bouquet, and we know that your certificate is already here. It's a little,
It's in my office.
yeah, it's a little anticlimactic, so thank you very much for being willing to take our training and join many other leaders in the state to receive the certification.
But thank you, Rochelle, for being here, for presenting it, and it's my honor to receive and have achieved these levels. It just shows not only my commitment to the district, but further commitment to my community. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate this honor, so thank you.
I wish you would have come down when I got certified as a board member within 2 months of being a board member, but nobody came, but I got a certificate in the mail. I'm not
She
making
wasn't
you on
here.
this.
Yeah,
I'm saying, yeah.
from going forward, I love being able to do that, so let me know, yeah.
Yeah, she's our new representative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So I
started,
walked out of the seminar qualified because I already had 20 hours training before I went to the seminar.
that's great.
But it is good, that's the point. We have to know how things work, and these programs are how we learn.
Hello again. Thank you for allowing me to be here today to present this to all of you. I really appreciate the dedication and the time that all of you give to your community to be here. Like I mentioned, I've also served on city commissions and am a former city council member. And so I understand the time and effort that it takes to be on a governing committee. And it's not just showing up at the meetings, but it's the packets and it's the knowledge and it's hearing from the community. So thank you for your service. So I'm here today to discuss a ballot measure that is most likely going to be on the November 2024 ballot. The initiative doesn't have a proposition number yet, and so it's kind of known by several different titles. And I'll go over some of those titles because maybe you've heard them. So the official title right now is given by the California Secretary of State, and it's Initiative 1935. It's also known by the organization's main sponsor. It's either called the California Business Roundtable Initiative or the CBRT Initiative. And for those who support the initiative, they call it the Taxpayer Protection Act. And for those of us who do not support the initiative, it is called the Taxpayer Deception Act. So you may have heard of it by one of those four names as you're out and about. So, I had a slideshow, but everyone has a copy of the slideshow? Perfect, okay. So I always like knowing who the supporters and primary sponsors of an initiative are. So on the next slide, you'll see the main proponent, once again, is the California Business Roundtable. Some of the key contributors, these folks are the ones who've given the biggest amounts of funding for the effort to get this on the ballot. And you'll see right now it's a lot of real estate and property management interests that are really behind this in a financial way. The California Business Roundtable, most of their membership are from some of the wealthiest corporations in California. You can view their website for more information about this, and it's called taxpayerprotection.com. and that's obviously on your packet as well. So there is a lot of growing opposition to this proposition. As you can see, I like to call them the big three of local government are all opposing this proposition. CSDA, along with the California League of Cities, the California State Association of Counties, and you can see many cities and many special districts have already joined in on the opposition. And some of the special districts close to you, Moss Landing Harbor District, Santa Maria Airport, there's a Tascadero Cemetery District, and then up in Santa Cruz County we have the Soquel Creek Water District. And then as you can see, you have cities that have also opposed this, and Soledad is one of them. I don't need to read all of the cities listed here, but this list is pretty vast. If you want to see all the cities and all of the organizations that are in opposition, you can go to the taxpayerdeceptionact.com website. I just also want to mention too, there are other statewide associations in opposition to this. So some of your fellow special districts with the California Water Agency, so the Association of California Water Agencies, the California Association of State Auditors, as well as the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers. So a lot of finance people who aren't necessarily always in agreement with the CSDA and California League of Cities are also opposing this ballot measure. So here are some of the fundamentals. Here are what we think are some of the results that will happen if this ballot initiative passes. According to CSDA and many other people who are opposing this. I'll discuss in the next few slides while we feel these will be the results if this act passes. So one of the core provisions that we think is really one of the most ruinous provisions for special districts is there's a retroactivity clause in this. And so it goes back to January 1st to 2022. So any ballot measure, any tax increase that has passed since 2022 could potentially be invalidated if they do not meet the criteria of this current ballot measure. And so that means if you passed a tax at the ballot and it didn't have a sunset date, that would invalidate that particular ballot measure. There's some other provisions too that could make your ballot measure no longer applicable or valid going forward. Fees and other changes also may no longer fit the description of an exemption from being a tax. That's another interesting provision of this proposition. So going on to the next page, the 3-year retroactivity provision, just a little more information. Their non-compliant fees and assessments could become taxes, requiring people to go back and get approval at the ballot at the 2/3 level. And so that's why we just think this will be really ruinous for a lot of special districts, because we went ahead, next slide, I know I'm going fast through these. The CSDA surveyed not just our members, we surveyed special districts in general. And a lot responded and said 293 districts said approximately $2 billion in revenue will just disappear if this ballot measure is passed. And it's all just due to the retroactivity clause. Our cities and counties will also lose billions if this initiative passes. And this is despite the fact that voters on a local level approved these taxes because what community was voting on deemed these particular general services were needed in the community. So on a statewide level, this initiative will invalidate the will of the voters on a very local level. I'm belaboring the point once again. More voter limit. This will really cause voter limitations. To be in terms of just ballot measures that will be invalidated because of the retroactivity clause. And another example, which is somewhat local, in Santa Cruz County for the March 2024 ballot, voters in both the county and city approved sales tax increases, but neither measure had a sunset date. Initiative 1935 will invalidate both of these measures. And that means, once again, voters all over the state, people who live in LA, people who live in Fresno, will be able to invalidate the wishes of Santa Cruz County and city voters if this were to pass. So here's some language about why we think this is something that maybe needs a bit more investigation. This is going to take what are currently taxes, what are considered taxes, and expand that definition of what a tax is while shrinking exemptions. And so there's just some language about how we feel this is a revision to the Constitution and not an amendment. And right now, you're not supposed to revise the Constitution by ballot initiative. It's supposed to be a much more extensive process and investigation. So there is currently in the California Supreme Court a review of this ballot initiative, and we should know by the end of June whether or not it's going to make the ballot, whether or not the Supreme Court agrees with the arguments that this is actually a revision as opposed to just an amendment. And the California Special Districts Association did file a friend of the court brief supporting this concept. So once again, exempt changes, charges or taxes. Once again, the threshold for what is considered a fee is going to become much tighter. It's kind of, the language that's being used makes it a bit problematic on what is going to be a fee versus what is considered a tax. We believe the initiative would make it difficult, if not impossible, to charge fees paid by users, thereby eliminating services or increasing the pressure on the general fund and taxpayers. And so we think it's going to impose a difficult, if not impossible, condition to qualify anything as an exempt charge. Because right now there's 7 different classes of exemptions for the special districts and local government use that are not considered taxes. So therefore they don't have to go to the ballot constantly to get approval for them. This is going to tighten those classes up and make more things classified as taxes. So also, in addition to limiting fees and charges to the actual cost, fees and charges must also be, quote, from the proposition itself, reasonable to the payor themselves, so the individual. No definition is provided for this new subjective reasonable test. Fees and charges also say should not exceed the actual cost of providing a product or service for which the fee is charged. Actual cost is defined as, here's another nebulous term, minimum amount necessary less other sources of revenue. So, who gets to determine what a minimum amount necessary is? The next slide is just showing the actual language from the initiative I was just explaining. I'm not going to read this, but it is here for your reference so you can see the actual language being used. So here are a list of the consequences CSDA believes will occur if this initiative passes. Like I said, the per payer basis is very worrisome. Many times districts have to put up matching funds for federal or state funding, but this could possibly be a problem with terms like minimum amount necessary to deliver a service. Grant funds could increase a district's budget and possibly mean having to lower charges because of a grant increasing your revenue. So instead of grants being seen as complementary, it could end up becoming part of what's considered your general fund or your expenses. And then if you're charging folks a certain level for fees or for taxes, the court could rule that, well, this grant comes in, you should lower those fees because the grant now offsets the expense of providing a service. And that's kind of a nerdy legal-headed analysis, but that's where a lot of legal scholars say this could go. We really believe this is going to cause decades of costly litigation. It's going to allow anyone who thinks, well, I'm paying too much for this service, I want you to prove that what I pay is really needed for a service I'm getting. And, it wouldn't take much for a lawyer to take that case up. And then, the question that, I'd like to ask is who decides that minimum amount? Is it going to be decided by high-priced lawyers and courts, or should it be decided by the voters and their locally elected neighbors? And that's really what it comes down to. Like I said, one individual could decide they're being charged more than the minimum amount and hold up districts and courts for years. The undefined terms will open up districts and other layers of government to endless lawsuits. And also it could cause the need for a lot more ballot measures. And as you know, ballot measures are written with politics in mind, not legislation. And that's one of the reasons why it results in endless litigation. And also each community is unique and they have their own set of realities and needs. This initiative will take those decisions out of the hands of the voters and really put them to courts. So what does this mean to your district? I don't know if the retroactivity clause will apply. It might. You'd have to go back and look at all your revenue, all your fees, and see if it would apply. We really do think it's going to plunge districts into chaos in regards to current capital improvement projects. Obtaining financing will be very difficult, if not an impossible task, because it'll be really hard to show kind of consistent revenue coming in. Some districts will be out of compliance with vendors and contracts that they have currently created in the last 3 years based on the revenue that is coming in from a ballot measure that might be invalidated. So what we might find, and I remember this when I was traveling through, I was quite young, I was traveling through a Soviet bloc country, and the thing that jumped out at me were all these projects that were half done, like, completely abandoned. They just ran out of money and couldn't complete them. And I don't know, that's always stuck with me for many years, and this made me wonder, can many of those projects, can that happen here with this ballot initiative? And I don't think it's hyperbole to ask that question when you consider what might happen. So the bottom line is that special districts need to have the ability to plan for inflation, infrastructure maintenance, and replacement. I can give an example in Santa Cruz. Sorry, I keep going back to my hometown. So Santa Cruz, we only had one main pipe from our largest source of water that was destroyed in a rather intense storm last year. The city water director realized with the increase in intensity of storms, we needed to build redundancy in our water system. We needed another pipe. We needed 2 pipes. So this meant increasing the water infrastructure fees. But does building redundancy in a system mean it was more than charging, quote, the minimum amount necessary? And I'm afraid that's something that would have to be figured out in a court. So we all know how expensive it is to get a ballot measure 2 on the ballot, and that's just the fee that we pay to the county elections office. And so the question is, do we really want a state that can't prepare for climate change, infrastructure, and so on, unless we have to vote on hundreds of ballot initiatives? Or do we have to go to court every time to prove that we are only charging the minimum amount necessary? So that can even mean a park and rec district needs to increase class fees for, let's say, swimming by a few dollars. That may mean they have to go to the ballot for that increase. So what can be done? I don't mean to be all doom and gloom. You can learn a lot more about this ballot initiative at our website that's listed in your presentation. So there's been an analysis done by CSDA, the actual initiative language is there, and there's also a memo on how to take positions on ballot measures, what's legal for districts to do, what isn't legal, so you can be really safe about how you go about maybe wanting to oppose this. We would love your district to join the other special districts in our state in opposition to this. Your voice goes so much farther than ours in your community when those who govern and manage a district make public statements. So I think it's really important for districts themselves, not just CSDA, to chime in on this. So thank you for allowing me to present our concerns about Initiative 1935, and thank you for the service and leadership you provide the community, and I can take questions if you have them, and I hope I can answer them. I know I threw a lot at you.
Any questions? I don't think there are any questions. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry.
I couldn't get this straight. It's good to have an ending date, or it's not good to have an ending date?
Sunset clause.
Oh, sunset clause. Oh, I've never heard of it referred to that. Ending date. Yeah, it's, so right now, according to this ballot initiative, you should have a sunset date or an ending date.
You should have one.
That's what they say, but what will happen is, and I gave you one community that there's a specific example. For any ballot measure that doesn't have a sunset date that was passed in the last 3 years, it's invalidated. It just goes away. Yeah. And so communities that have planned to that amount of money coming in, it will just suddenly be gone. Yeah.
Other questions?
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you
Sure.
for being here and taking the tour with us today.
Oh my gosh, I love the tour. Yeah, I'm so impressed. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Ida, then do you mind if I? Is it on here? Okay. Take care.
Okay, on page 8 of your packet is resolution 2024-04. It's whether or not we want to oppose initiative 1935. So are there any comments, questions, or a motion? I'll say something, is if the local people say this is what they want, and someone from Woodland says, no, we don't agree with that, that's, I would support this. I don't know what you other folks think.
So do we have to vote on it now?
We could postpone it,
No, but I mean,
we can vote on it, we could,
everything was presented, so, I mean, we're either for it or against it.
yeah. So I'll entertain a motion either to approve or not approve.
Because of the wording, that's why I'm having a problem. If we vote in favor of it, then other people can't end initiative for someone else.
No. If you vote right now for this resolution, you're saying you're not in favor of that passing. That's what we're voting on.
Yeah,
We're voting on whether we think that legislation should pass or not. And if we approve this resolution, as a board, we're saying, we think it should not pass, and we're supporting the people that are voting against it. That's what we're voting on.
So we're going to make sure that, for example, that if someone passed a bond 3 years ago, and it doesn't have a sunset clause, say Salinas did, if the initiative that is coming, not this,
Not this.
initiative's coming, that they could, money would have to be given back because they didn't have a sunset clause.
Okay.
So this right here is opposing that initiative, and
To enable them to.
yeah, so that it protects any decisions, so that if we make a decision in this community for X, people in Woodland, someone up there couldn't object to it. It's a local decision.
Okay.
Am I saying that correctly?
Kind of, they're asking the legislature to have the authority to change and say no, and just not allowing the local people to decide whether we want to have a fee or a tax. It's somebody else is saying whether we can, which is going to limit income to all the districts, because the people in general that are trying to save money from themselves are going to stop anybody from getting money.
Yeah, and it'll settle, and we'll be in courts forever.
Okay, I move we accept this resolution.
A motion on the floor to adopt resolution 2024-04. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any comments? Okay, roll call.
Greg,
Yes.
Maggie,
Yes.
Rosemary,
Yes?
Matt.
Yes.
Okay. Communications coordinator, you're on.
Before you get there, can I have a point of order, please?
Sure.
So, sometimes we can't get in here at 4 o'clock because the foundation's still here and the meeting gets delayed. Whenever I get here within 3 to 5 minutes of 4 o'clock, we're already halfway down the page of the agenda, and I make it clear I can't get here from work. Today, I had to park down the street because the parking lot was full and our van was parked in a spot that I could have parked in.
Yes.
So-
Two vans
so
were
I-
parked in this spot.
That's why I got here late, but I walk in 5 minutes late and we've got 10 minutes of business done already. So that's my complaint,
I
and that's
understand.
my point of order.
All we did was get the Pledge of Allegiance and the welcome.
And approve the minutes. And I have some problems with the minutes, so I'd like to open that up again.
Okay.
Some significant things that I think are important.
Okay.
First, we did have a vote on,
Supporting the minutes are
oh, it is. We voted on the conflict of interest code, and we had 3 voted yes, and I did vote no. And it says we all voted for it.
Okay, we make that correction?
That's the minor one. And I request that something be added to the minutes. After about 15 minutes of conversation, you finally directed the CPA and Ida to provide me some information. Those salary ranges and the FTE budget numbers by employee, at least for last year and this year, and I've seen nothing, and it doesn't say in the minutes that you demanded that, or directed them to provide that.
Okay.
I'd like that direction added, and I can give her.
I specifically requested Brent to get that information. So it would be the
Salary ranges, I think it was.
The salary ranges, the FTE budget, last year's, the budget, the big picture numbers that we never saw that are used to analyze to create the budget. Last year's.
I understand what you're saying. But I would directed Brent, ask Brent to provide him with whatever he had back from that. Okay?
Okay, I just want to say, the foundation has never gone over 4 o'clock, because I'm here for the foundation meeting, and we never start this meeting early, never.
I'm not going to start before 4 o'clock, and I'm not bashing the foundation, I'm just saying is, if we get here 10 minutes early, we sit out there sometimes because we can't get in.
No.
But we start right at 4 o'clock, even though I've expressed that I really can't be here at 4 o'clock, and I'm running to get here when I did.
And you're retiring.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, then you'll be here.
It'll be less of a problem.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but your correction's been made.
that's
Okay,
good correction.
okay. Communications coordinator, Adriana.
Okay, if it's okay, I'll do my report from here.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so I'm happy to report that we have changed my report to a printable report that you can find on page 9 of your packet. So each month you will get a little snippet of what has happened so far when you get your packets. And this year, well, this month around, we have a beautiful resident showcasing an orchid that was given to all of our residents by the Soledad PD. And I was able to, you will find also in your packet that I submitted a press release about this, thanking Soledad PD and making sure that our name, that we keep getting name recognition throughout the district. So you will find that, and the press release is the following page after the cover, which would be page 10. And we were able to successfully gain media coverage on the Tribune yesterday. So you will also have that in your, in one of the papers in your packet there, not within my, because that was from yesterday. But we also showcased that on social media. And we were able to send them as well a thank you note for their generous gift of orchids to all of our residents, all of our female residents, and whatever was left over was also given to our CNAs, our nurses, our staff, because it coincided with Nurses Week as well. We also placed an ad, you will be able to see in this collage, that we placed an ad here on the corner on the senior resource guide that gets published in a glossy issue from the MC Weekly. So that will get published later, eventually or soon. And we have an ad advertising our Eden Valley Care Center. And you will be able to see that we have several other pictures of staff that when we celebrated Nurses Week and Skilled Nursing Home Week, our partners from BNA here brought us food to help us celebrate Nurses Week and Skilled Nursing Home, as well as Spirit Days such as Western Day, Twin Day, Crazy Hair Day. So our staff was very happy participating in all of that. And you will also see that Ida and I attended the Women's Fund Luncheon that allowed us to share some of our pens that you have there. The green pens, we share them with all of our table and make sure that they are aware of our branding. And you have some of our branding initiatives that we have been doing since I began my my position here, which is a notepad, a sticky notepad, a pen, and a hand sanitizer that we give out to the community for whenever we are in resource fairs or health fairs, and any like guests that we have here. And also, Ida celebrated, and we celebrated the graduates within our staff. We have Haley Fletcher and Nancy Herrera pictured here in the corner.
And in the front of their agenda.
Yes, and in the front of your agenda, that they got flowers from our CEO, and also a social media post, making sure that the whole community knew that we are committed to promoting higher education and growth for all of our employees.
What was her name?
Haley Fletcher, oh, that's Nancy Herrera.
She's been here for several years, many years, as a medical assistant, and she became an LVN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the last name?
Herrera?
And Haley, Haley Fletcher became a certified biller and coder. Yep.
And we also attended the Empower Luncheon that was the CEO of the Natividad Foundation was featured. She spoke. It was a very good moving speech, moving conversation that we had, that she had with all of us there in attendance. And we also celebrated a couple birthdays at Eden Valley and also 2 work anniversaries. One was a milestone anniversary, which is Maggie Virgen from the Soledad Medical Clinic, and she celebrated 15 years with us. And Janelle Espinosa, 1 year with Eden Valley.
Can you talk about, share about this brochure and then the
Oh yes, so
Memorial
we
Day?
placed an ad as well in the Tribune last week for Memorial Day. It is something that we do every year, and we didn't want to pass. Yes, it's considerably small because the rates did go up, and we wanted to make sure that we stay within budget and but also honor our those who have served for Memorial Day. And we also, you will see that we have the program for the Memorial Day service here in Soledad. I was able to redesign the program with the help of Sophie and Mr. Juan Valtierra, who gave us all of the information. And that is how we sponsored that event, by printing all of the programs and making sure that that service and that recognition didn't go unnoticed.
Special.
Is there
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adriana.
Okay, treasurer's report, Brent's not here, so
He
I
is
didn't draw.
not. Brent's son graduated from college as well, and he got some in the medical field, very specialized in the medical field. So he's actually traveling towards his son's graduation ceremony. So if you guys will turn to page 13. As you guys can see, just some highlights, quick highlights. A number of days on cash on hand still remain high at 95 for the district. We still maintain that cash on hand level and increasing. And Brent explained that last month. A lot of it has to do with the dollars that we received to pay off our PPS, and we're waiting for the PPS payment from the state to post to our account, which normally does take some time to post. Next page, page 14. This is our overall district budget, year-to-date budget. So as you can tell, our operating income still remains in a positive. This is after expenses and less depreciation. Our net increase to net assets is about $602,899. If you can see down at summary of income by operations, you can see that Eden Valley has successfully and continues to generate substantial revenues. And the clinic, remember, that is because of the PPS that's been posted to the account. So if you back that out, there is a positive about 300,000. But right now, because of the posting, that's where it's at. And the district shows at 611,895, but we did get our district property tax, and let me pull that out. All right, so we got our first payment, and it's about 190,372.76 for April. That's our first payment of the year. If you look at what we get for the entire year, it's $411,000, which is barely enough to cover a payroll as well. Okay. Let me go back to my page. Sorry, I lost my page. Account summary. So if you want to go to page 15, you can look at our revenue stream by month. And as you can tell, we have successfully accomplished a positive cash flow for the month of April. April is lower as visit counts still remain steady, but are still about 80% of total visit counts. April still remains, in a positive. So that's just the breakdown. If you look at the bottom, it includes our estimated PPS settlement as well. Revenues by clinic, so in all, that's our revenue breakdown for the clinic, our Medi-Cal, Medicare breakdown, and so forth in our privates. Now you can see it on page 16, you can see it based on each one of the businesses. So the first one you're looking at is Eden Valley. In Eden Valley, net revenue income is $1.9 million. And you can see it by revenue type. It's broken down by type as well. Department and type. Next page. Page 17 is the clinic. And as well, you can see the revenue streams with contractual adjustments included. I do have to say there is some posting delays as far as Athena goes in posting our cash flow revenues to the clinic, but we do have them in the deposit account, so that's something we're working with Athena, but CPA Brent does account for them. So at the end of the day, the net income and loss is $751,000, which includes our PPS.
There was a substantial drop in salaries. Is that because of, look at the top line?
377.
Yeah.
I don't know what, he might have moved things around.
Okay, that was just a,
Yeah, I don't know the answer. He might have moved things around in his, from one account to the other,
okay.
which might have created, I don't have my copy for last month. Okay, I will take a look at that. I don't remember what it was last month off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I will certainly look and let you know what that.
Because we haven't had a reduction in staff.
No.
So that was
I mean, there is one, but it wouldn't have caused that substantial. There is one of the PAs who left, but it wouldn't have caused that big.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll figure what that's detailing. And then at the bottom is a summary of income by month for each one of the clinics in the district. And then your estimated cash flow, how we're utilizing our cash throughout the month and in what categories on page 18.
I just want to say, I was glad to see the women's center listed separately.
Okay, good.
Okay, any questions on this portion? Okay, so can we get approval of the treasurer's report as Ida gave it?
I move we approve the treasurer's report as Ida presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, roll call?
Greg?
Yes.
Maggie? Yes. Rosemary?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Max?
Okay, monthly budget review.
So monthly budget review, you will see that as we have in the past few months, and this is for the operating months through April, so what are we? We're in month 8, 9, 10, yeah, so that's for the operating period of that time. So it's our budget forecast. So operating budgets, total budget year to date, compared to your total budget actual, and then he further breaks it down by each one of the business units. So as you can see, our gross margin remains in a positive. Budget to actual still remains in a positive, and we have budgeted accordingly and ahead. And in the middle, after depreciation, it shows our net budget year-to-date compared to our actual is actually in a positive. So the greatest loss being with the clinic for the year-to-date actual. And again, this all leads back to our PPS. So we want to remember that as well. And then at the bottom, it showcases our property tax, any grants that we've received, any investment income and interest income that we've had to pay, and it shows that the net surplus or deficit that we've had on page 1. If you turn to the back, it's just the breakdown by each operating center. So you have Eden Valley, and it gives you their Eden Valley Center actual to 10th month budget and to the 10th month actual, so that you can see that we're ahead of our budgeted amount at 1.2 million for Eden. Okay. If you look at the clinic, it does the same thing. It looks at the clinic at 10 months year to date, and then it looks at your actual. And if you can tell, they're pretty much in the same line which we predicted because of the PPS settlement that we owed. And then your back page is the district as a whole. It's just the district portion of it all. And if you look at your 10-month budget year to date and your 10-month actual year to date, you can tell that we're ahead of that. And I just shared with you guys that we just got that payment.
I want to take a minute to look, and then you can ask any questions. Any questions of item?
I don't have any questions other than looking at detail. Separate issue.
Okay, so approval of the monthly budget review. Do I have a motion?
We have that separately.
Yes.
I move we approve the budget review.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call?
Greg,
Yes.
Maggie,
Yes.
Rosemary,
Yes?
Max.
No.
Okay. District CEO report?
Actually, I'm number 12.
Did you say
Oh.
no?
Oh, draft copy of monthly budget, I'm sorry,
Okay.
that's the wrong one.
So this is a draft copy, so keep that in mind. The committee will review it on the June 5th, which will be hopefully a copy that will come to you guys at our June 25th meeting, June 27th meeting for final approval, okay? So there's still a lot of work to be had in this, 2, 3. So I don't really have much detail for you except just review this, Max. Just review this and save your questions for Brent at the June 5th meeting, or you can bring them to me, or Greg's on the committee, Max is on the committee. Bring this forward. So again, this is just a rough draft of what we're looking at this moment. This does include the SB 525 estimates, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But so that does include that, and we'll go over it in much more detail. But just wanted you guys to take a look at the rough draft of the budget that is currently underway, and we'll have further discussion in a couple weeks at our June 5th meeting.
Okay, so take it home, scribble it up so you can have questions for, Ida, if you want them to, questions brought on the June 5th meeting, give them to Ida or to Max or myself, and then we'll take care of the budget at the end of the month.
So I know when you put this together, all these supplies, there's a bunch of line items that add up to these numbers. And that's that 150-page report that you keep dreading sending out.
So if you look back, Max, I know you haven't had a chance, take a look at what we provided, and this is where Brent has really tried to break down in further detail what all those mean.
Okay.
So in the front, Max, you will see it's a summary, but in the back is a detail that you were requesting, the FTE and the breakdown and those things that you had asked me to provide. That's why we hadn't provided it, is because we were going to do it today.
Okay.
Okay? So hopefully you'll have a little bit more insight that you wish, and that will maybe spark any questions you may have at that time before Brent.
Thank you, Ida.
Okay.
Now your report, I'm sorry, skip that.
Not to worry, Adriana, can you send Susan an email or a message? Do you remember?
Yes.
Okay.
She already knows to be on standby.
All right. So I will start with my report now. Get myself organized over here. All right, everyone. I hope everyone is enjoying the warmer weather. This is the month and start of celebrations. There are many graduations taking place throughout the community, and it inspires me for our future to see so many talented students graduating. I was just heading out in the afternoon when I was taking a little break, and I seen all the 8th graders walking across the street heading to the high school to go practice for their ceremony. So it's always wonderful to see our talented youth and our up-and-coming future. You can sit right here, Susan. Graduating. So as you guys heard, you had Rochelle here for the CSDM recognition. And again, I'm just so grateful to have achieved that. And just so grateful to be giving back to my community in this way and showing my commitment. I did also include, and Greg is looking at it in your packet, I did also include in your packet a quarterly summary. Hopefully that was helpful. I try to summarize basically what we talk about during the month. It goes by so quickly, so it's amazing. Obviously I can't put everything in that report either. But at least give you kind of a high-level overview of the few things that I am doing throughout the quarter.
On the top you say for information only, what does that mean? That it's confidential or that this is just a summary?
It's just a summary. LAFCO, I am actively working on the LAFCO MSR review update now. It's underway. They're in drafting mode. If you guys remember, the last time they did it was back in 2012. So it's been 12 years now. Yeah.
It's supposed to be every 5.
And it's supposed to be every 5. So the goal is to have it reviewed back so that they can present it at their next LAFCO meeting sometime in June. So that's underway. A lot of heavy lifting and reviewing. As you guys can imagine, is trying to give them a snapshot of what we've accomplished in these last 12 years as a district. So a lot to come, but we're making it through that review. Leadership Academy. So as you guys recall, we conducted a leadership academy, and we're now in our 5th session. And this session was managing performance. It is made up of 12 key managers from Clinic, Eden Valley, and Women's Center. These are 2-hour training sessions occurring once a month for the next 8 months. Our next topic will be giving and receiving feedback. And I wanted to share with you, I always like to have feedback from the team and, hey, what's going on? And I actually got a really nice email. And this is, it's to me from one of the participants. It says, I have been enjoying the leadership development class. I appreciate the class. The classes are so engaging, and I have been able to expand in both my professional and personal perspective. Thank you for this opportunity to grow. So, I mean, this is what it's for. It's expanding our staff and their knowledge and helping them develop and grow. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. Next is a local roadmap to community resilience project. I was invited. There's a copy in your letter in your packet from Daniel Gonzalez, and he was the emergency services planner for the Department of Emergency Management for the County of Monterey. And he invited me to be part of this circle of folks. And the purpose of this initiative was to develop a resilience plan for disadvantaged communities in South County, empowering local stakeholders and residents to improve collaboration and coordination, recognizing weaknesses and strengths to better prepare for disasters. So we got to choose. Obviously, there's so many disasters that can happen, from earthquakes and floods and pandemics. So we as a committee or as a group, decided that we would focus on earthquakes. And so they're going to focus on what it takes to prepare our community for an earthquake. So there'll be more to come. This was just one of the projects, one of the roundtables. They've gone up and down the California, gathering all this information and data. And I was part of that leadership team to do that. Let's see, insurance renewals. So another hat that I wear, many of my hats, is quasi doing CFO work, and that entails doing our insurance renewals. So we just got word in this last month that our United Healthcare, which is our healthcare, dental, and vision for our staff, is increasing by 50%.
50?
50, 50.
50.
It's a big increase in our insurances, and so we will. That's already put into our budget, but hence that's why you'll see that our budget needs. We need to make some improvements to it.
Well, you know what, they're really famous lately for canceling people's insurance very readily. So we've had them cancel ours, and then we fought them on it, and then they reinstated us, but for fire. This
is more. This is more employee health insurance, dental, and vision insurance.
It's a poor employee plan because employees don't pay, but their deductible is so high, they pay a lot of money. And then it's gonna cost more money, and it's a crappy plan.
I know. It's just it's a challenge in talking to other CEOs and others. We're all in the same boat together. So we're not unique. It's happening.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you have no choice.
No question. The school district went from McSig to CalPERS. Is that an option that we have or can explore?
You can, and you guys did explore that years ago, and it's just an investment.
Okay.
And with a small district and the revenue stream that we have, it's a commitment. And don't quote me, I'm not an expert in this arena, but it's a commitment on behalf of the employee themselves. It can be anywhere from 7 to 10% of their salary.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not cheap. It's an indebtedness to the district. So, I mean, yeah, it's an option, but you know, it's a costly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not viable.
The other thing is, that I'm working on is our renewal of our property, our crime and health insurance program, our cybersecurity, our ransom supplemental, and fiduciary liability, which we're exploring with Alliant. And then with Beta, our liability coverage, healthcare comprehensive liability, directors and officers liability, and auto liability and physical damage and workman's comp coverage. So keep in mind, I've said a lot of different things, but these happen individually, so I have to attack each one of these differently, individually each year. Okay? A lot of time being spent there. Mother's Day, we passed out flowers to all of our staff at the end. And it's not cheap. It's an indebtedness to the district. So, I mean, yeah, it's an option, but you know, it's a costly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not viable.
The other thing is that I'm working on is our renewal of our property, our crime and health insurance program, our cybersecurity, our ransom supplemental, and fiduciary liability, which we're exploring with Alliant. And then with Beta, our liability coverage, healthcare comprehensive liability, directors and officers liability, and auto liability and physical damage and workman's comp coverage. So keep in mind, I've said a lot of different things, but these happen individually, so I have to attack each one of these differently, individually each year. Okay? A lot of time being spent there. Mother's Day, we passed out flowers to all of our staff. At the end I mentioned there was over 300 flowers that were purchased, and half of those went obviously to our staff and the other half went to our community. There was a mariachi that was here at Eden Valley for our residents to enjoy, and then there was a mariachi at the clinic as well. You also heard that the Soledad Police Department donated the orchids for residents. They've done this year after year, and they do it in a way where they don't want a lot of, you know, they don't. They just come and drop them off, and we deliver, which is really nice. They make it a special point to bring them. So they'll periodically do things like that. The City of Soledad General Plan is another, if you look at it, it was in your packet.
Right.
And I wanted to show you that because I wanted to show you that they, as their guiding principles, have added healthcare. But really what I want to do is get a seat at the table to define what that really means for our community. And here's the reason why. In reading the LAFCO report that we're currently preparing, this is what they've said. Soledad is considered a high-growth community. Regional growth projections identify higher than average growth in Soledad area through 2045. The majority of this growth will likely occur within City of Soledad, not in the unincorporated area, given the county has not designated the rural areas for growth and development. In 2022, LAFCO approved the Miramonte annexation to the City of Soledad, which is anticipated to increase the number of housing units in the city by 58%. However, this built out of this project is incremental and long-term process that may take 20 to 40 years. So that's why we want to see at the table of the city and general plan that is slated for 2045, through 2045. Moving on, Public Works Department, I shared with you guys last month, has given us a requirement to upgrade our backflow and install a bypass for fire service. We went out and we got some quotes. Our first one was estimated at $45,000. We did get another quote at $25,000. But what's happening with this situation is that backflow for the Eden Valley has to go through HCI. And if you don't know what HCI is the agency that monitors and manages any improvement development to skilled nursing facilities. And that comes with it its own fees and its own time. So this project can probably take, and I'm not kidding you, anywhere from 12 to 24 months in addition to additional cost. What we can move forward and what's in our budget is the backflow for the Women's Center and the clinic. And so will the one for Eden Valley, but it's gonna be probably over, depending on time, it may be over 2 cycles, so 2 years. And so that's going on right now. I did send a letter to the city because we had a mandate to get this done before June. It was, I think, the middle of June, which we're not gonna get done. And especially for Eden Valley. So I just wanted to give you a little
What's the
bit.
ballpark cost? $5 million, $2 million,
Oh, no. No.
$300,000?
So it's $45,000, so I'm gonna estimate that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna estimate that. I mean, although we got it down to 25,000 right now, but because we have to get involved HCI, which means that we have to get involved engineers, we now have to get involved architect. I mean, there's just a slew of more people that have to get involved in the project, which in turn, and it drives up the cost, and that's only an estimate at this moment. Board and CEO relationship. So in your packet, I found this great report from, or not report, but it's a handout from ACHD. And I just thought it would be good for us to share. And it's in your packet.
Page 31.
31, thank you so much. And one thing that I want to point out, and I won't read it to you guys can read it on your own, it says, a critical element of a powerful leadership team is a strong working relationship between the board and the CEO. And I do have to vouch for that, and I do appreciate having that closeness and commitment from the board and supporting me and our endeavors, and Susan and all of our good stuff that we try to do here at the district. So just an easy read. I don't know if, Greg, you have anything to share on that?
I just think the last column on page 31 has some important points, so that's, you can read that at your own leisure.
Okay. Where else am I? Let's see, we talked about communications coordinator. We talked about the property taxes, we got that. One thing I wanted to share, First Capital Bank, as you guys know, are the financing bank that financed different projects that we had here at the district. They have merged with Santa Cruz County Bank on Monday, May 20th. How that changes, I don't know, you guys. I mean, it's gonna change. I can tell you they're being and haven't been involved in mergers before. What impact that has on us, we'll have to wait and see. I hope things stay the same, but it's been so easy to work with them and get financing and get their support, but things do change. ACH SB 525, if you guys remember, that's the minimum wage that the governor has signed, and it was signed a few years back, but what we found recently is that there's been a postponement, and it's postponed until July, and what we're hearing there, if you guys remember, there was a restaurant, one that passed, and they carved out
If they make bread.
certain, yeah. So
The French Laundry, Newsom's favorite restaurant, that's where it came from.
Oh,
That's what it is, the French Laundry up there where Newsom goes.
And they didn't- and
That
they
was the
didn't
one that he
carved
changed it
out?
for, yes.
oh geez. Okay, so what I'm hearing is they're gonna carve out rural health clinics, and they're gonna change it for skilled nursing facilities. So just know that, but the one unfortunate thing that has come up, and I've been made aware of by some of the staff members, is that they were approached by a union as a result of the minimum wage, and staff workers have said that if we don't move forward with the increase, then they will potentially, I don't know what's the right word.
Organized.
No, picket, what's the other word? It's not
Strike.
picket. There we go. Strike. And so, I mean, we can't change the governor's mind and
Yeah,
what he
it was on the
signs.
radio. They talked about it on the radio
Oh.
just yesterday.
Yeah.
That Newsom postponed it, and it's still postponed. So,
So we did,
they can't get mad about something that's not there.
yeah, and so we did come in and meet with staff and kind of talk to them and make sure that they were, you know, aware of what's going on in staff. And obviously, if this goes through, then we're gonna abide by it and.
So right now it's July 1st, and we won't know for another 3 or 4 weeks whether it's gonna get extended longer or not.
And the carve-outs.
Right. Well, right,
So,
which might be an exception that we might.
so I
get.
wanted to share that with you guys, just because I was made aware of that information. So I want to make sure, again, if this all goes into effect, we don't get any support from the state to support this increases. For us, it would roughly be about $350,000 to implement this. Capital improvements, I showed you guys, I talk about it every month, but I wanted to give you a visual. So we are upgrading our computers. If you guys remember, these were computers, there's about 40 in the fleet, which now there's less, that are 5 to 10 years old. So we made a purposeful plan to replace those. And in your packet is just showing you what the cost is of replacing, and we're doing about 5 every quarter. And so those have been completed for this quarter. In addition to that, we will have the roof, which is already in our budget, which will be completed in the next month or 2 for the clinic. To get ahead of the rainy season, as well as the asphalt behind Eden Valley, which is our delivery area for the kitchen, which was very, very important. Okay. Eden Valley. So I wanted to share, this is who we are and what we are in a nutshell. And you know, Susan is our administrator here, and she can share a little bit more. But this is a letter we received from one of our residents, and I included it in the packet, but I wanted to also read it out loud to everyone. It says, "Dear Eden Valley Care Center, we wanted to take a moment to express our dearest gratitude to your staff for the outstanding care provided to our mother during her time at your facility. From the moment our mother entered your doors, we were met with warmth, compassion, and professionalism. Your team went above and beyond to ensure our mother comfort, safety, and well-being, and for that we are truly thankful. Every member of your staff, from the nurses to the caregivers to the administrative team, demonstrate not only the skill and expertise, but also the genuine kindness and empathy. It is with evident that their work was not just a job, but a calling, and their dedication to the residents was truly commendable. During a challenging time of our family, knowing that our mother was in such capable and caring hands brought us immense peace of mind. Your facility provided a supportive and nurturing environment that allowed our mother to thrive, and we will always be grateful for the love and attention they received. Please extend our heartfelt thanks to everyone involved in my mother's care. Your commitment to excellence has made a profound difference in our lives, and we will always hold a special place in our hearts for Eden Valley with deepest appreciation."
So I was curious about this. Did she just go home or did she pass away?
She passed away.
She did pass away, because I couldn't quite tell from it, okay?
So that's just, in a nutshell, really demonstrates and encompasses who we are and what we are and the purpose. I always tell our team when we meet in leadership meetings is, you guys read the mission and value statement, and I know it's at the top of your agenda, but we really take it to heart and believe in what it says, and we talk about it at our leadership meetings and really emphasize it, because that's who we are, and this letter is just evidence of that. And I don't know if Susan wants to share anything on that regard.
Well, I met with the family and I know the resident, and so they came here under comfort measures. And just seeing the team continue to dedicate and communicate with the family ensuring that, what we do here is truly based upon what we practice and on our vision and mission. So to meet with the family and give them that hug that they needed was a tear-jerking moment for me, but also for the family. So they did want to really extend it, and it was nice to share that with all of our team too.
It's a very nice letter, and because it included everybody.
Yeah. Housekeeping to everyone who was in the rooms, because there's lots of families that go in and out. It was a big family. So to see different people going in and checking and seeing their well-being, not just the resident, but the family's well-being as well.
We want to thank you very much, and please thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
I know I've talked about this a couple of times, but our soda shop, we still plan on having our grand opening. We have finalized the artwork that is going to go around the windows, and as soon as that is placed and printed, we will set and invite all of you guys to join us, hopefully sometime in June. We also talked about our new hires, and again, it's important to showcase Janelle Leanne Espinosa, who's been here 1 year. Susan will go over census here in a moment, and referrals, and let's see. Oh, the Vaqueros group, Randy Hanley. We had one of the siblings here staying with us. They actually performed here, and Rich Casey performed here. It was a wonderful time. It was so great to see them here. Everybody, there was dancing.
Great. Oh my gosh.
It was such a good day.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Soledad, just to share with you guys, currently, I talked about this last month, currently has our MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, for review, for approval for the emergency evacuation use of the community center. So I did go back, Greg and I, thank you Greg for joining me, we went to see their concern about the MOU. They wanted us to change and say that this was an optional location. We're only asked to utilize the location for 24 hours, but they wanted us to write an optional. We did that, we sent it back. We're waiting for their response and approval. And I'll turn it over to Susan.
All right. Good afternoon, board members. Again, my name is Susan Fan, the administrator here at Eden Valley, and June will be my 6th month. Can you believe it? Time flies by when you're having fun. All right. Going over our census, first of all, we are staying nice and steady at 83% for the month of April. Year to date, it's still on average of 84%. So we're doing nice and steady comparing to most other communities in our area. For Medicare, we did have a dip of 8.57 average for Medicare residents that are in our community. And we did have an increase by quite a bit for Medi-Cal, HMOs, and private pays. So for Medi-Cal, we had 35.10. HMOs, we did 3.47, and our average for private pays went from 1 to 3 for the month of April.
Okay.
So there's some dips and some increases, and generally from my experience, there tends to be a little bit of a dip during the summer seasons because families are going on vacation, residents may be going on vacation, so they kind of hold off on their surgeries before they come back in the fall to kind of have them done. And of course, our season for the flu is kind of finishing up, so there's not a lot of acuity that I'm seeing in hospitals and gathering information about what's happening at the hospitals as well. So that's where we're at. For referrals, we have 10 coming from Salinas and 2 from Natividad. And we actually have 1 person on wait list, and believe it or not, this is our leader in the class, the teacher's class, Maria. She goes, I've never been in a facility or a community like this. And seeing it from an outside view, she's like, it's beautiful. She talks to the different people here. She goes, sign me up for my future long-term care community. I said, I think I might be not too far behind you.
So is she the one on the wait list?
She's on our wait list. She said, sign me up, put me on there. Okay, for CDPH, this is in regards to any type of self-report, if there's incidents or anything like that. We had 2 self-reports in regards to residents, and that's their falls, but they're all okay. And then we had 1 anonymous complaint. We feel that it might be an internal one because of the fact that they knew too much about things that management were talking about at our stand-up. but we can't we can't confirm who that might be. However, I'm very confident because all of our documentation, everything is intact. So it could be just a one-off of someone not being happy.
So who did they complain to?
CDPH. So anyone can, make an anonymous call to the Department of Public Health about any concerns.
But is
And-
it around, the agency doesn't even know who complained?
They do,
Yes.
but they don't have to tell us who that is. So, yeah. And so, one of the surveyors came out, they looked at our documentation, they did everything, and right now it's still impending, but she says, I don't feel like there's gonna be any findings, so we're pretty confident about that. As we stand up today, there are about 11 outstanding cases. I just checked with them to see where they're at, and they're really behind. I mean, the last case that they're still reviewing is as of September of 2023. Yeah. So that kind of shows where they're at with
So
the
just so you
live time.
understand, anonymous or not, even
Yeah.
self-complaint, it's almost, and this is my description, it's like your DMV record, you get points on your record. And as you know, when you get a DMV record, it doesn't go away because it takes time for it to cure and for it to pass, even though there's no findings, it still becomes part of the point.
It goes into the
system.
stars.
It does. And it's unfortunate because even though there's no findings and there's nothing associated, it still goes into the stars. So that's where Susan comes in and her expertise, and that's where she's helping us remedy those.
Yes, okay. In regards to staffing, we did receive a resignation and accepted the resignation of our Director of Rehab, Gaurav. He has been with us since August of last year. And so we do, very fortunately, already have someone in place, and he has accepted our offer. He is actually currently working here, and I think he has worked here in the past as well. His name is Paulino Navarro. And so he is a doctor of occupational therapy. And he's actually bringing on board several of his team. So it's really nice that he's actually going to bring in a robust rehab team that we've been wanting and needing for some time. So it's going to be really nice. There's going to be no disruption as far as we see in regards to the care and the therapy for our team. Again, we are more stronger in our occupational therapy services and support, so we're good there. And lastly, in regards to events, we celebrated Nurses Week, Nursing Home Week, and we had a very nice skills fair to kind of continue to train our team in preparation for survey. So we asked them different things such as like, what is our code for code blue? What does that mean? What is code red? And we've actually done several drills to make sure our team is really practicing this and being very familiar. I will continue to do mini mock surveys to make sure that people who are maybe new here know who is your grievance officer, who is your abuse coordinator. So it just comes really easy. Based upon several of the surveys that have been occurring in Watsonville and other communities that have already done their annual survey with CMS, the majority of them ask basic questions specific to their jobs. So kitchen was asked, what is the food temperature of certain foods when they're going to be heated up or cooked? And so they should be using a thermometer to check that and be within a certain range. They also ask about location of where our dried emergency foods are. So giving this information from our outside community partners, we started to really make sure we're training our team the same way as well. Basically, ask your team or your department the basic questions, and they should feel comfortable knowing how to answer that. And never say, I don't know. Just say, I'll get back to you in that information. So practicing some common things like that. And we're working on getting an ID card. So a lot of these could be very easily accessible, like pass, race, codes, different things like that they should already know. And so that is the conclusion of my report for the month of April. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Can I, this is a question to the board. These things are, the reports for the clinic and Eden Valley are done calendar year, but we operate on a fiscal year. And I'm wondering if it would be better for us to see the fiscal year, in terms of attendance and the clinic, as opposed to
a calendar year, because they're not meshing. I don't know, that's,
I think it's a time and a thing glance anyway, so it's not like we're comparing this year to last, it's a time window, so I don't think that matters for the cycle we're looking at, because we're not comparing over a fiscal year, we're just looking at windows, I think.
Yeah,
So there's no reason to mess with it, I don't think, because we're just looking at a time frame anyway.
okay, that sounds good to me.
But it's a good question, but yeah, I don't think it matters.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, thank you for listening.
Continue what we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Susan.
Nice to see
Appreciate you
everyone.
so much. All right, moving on to the clinic. We celebrated, and as you heard from Adriana, Maggie Campa, she's been with us for 15 years. She's worked in several capacities for us, from MA to front office, and she does go back and forth in between those two departments. We had a luncheon, provider check-in lunch this week, where the providers and I, HR and clinic manager got together just to do a check-in with them and see where things are at. All is well with the providers. CCAH is here. Central California Alliance for Health did a medical records review, and we did well. Just so that you guys all know, one of the things that they highlighted to our manager is that we are the only one of the clinic facilities that has exams, physical exams, every year for our patients, whereas the other clinics that they survey, they don't do them but every 3 to 4 years. So what does that mean? That we're keeping our community and patients healthy. So hats off to us and our staff at the clinic for their commitment there. Today was actually the site review at the clinic, and there was a lot of hard work done by the manager and the team to get it ready. I got a quick update from her prior to our meeting. All went well. I mean, obviously there's areas to improve it. There's no survey or no site visit that's going to come without an update or an improvement, right?
Feedback.
It's never going to happen. You're never going to get 100%. It's really rare. But so in all, we did well. You will see. We should get our score hopefully by the next meeting, and once I do, I'll include it in the packet for your guys' review. What else?
Is it just an annual inspection, or
It is.
just a periodic, or are they just out of the blue?
Annual inspections. They look at our charts. They look at the sites. They check compliance. I mean, I was just sharing earlier, they look I'm just exaggerating, but they look underneath the sink or in the sink, really. They look at all the nuts and bolts to make sure that we're operating accordingly. What else? So, partnerships. Charisma and Yvonne attended the Hartnell Albion Career Day, May 1st. I attended the Monterey County Economic Development Committee meeting. Adriana and I attended the Empower Luncheon in Monterey. I also attended the Association of California Healthcare Districts monthly CEO Roundtable. I took out a partner that Greg and I met at the CSDA dinner, Lori Ubin. She's a partner in development and manager of CHI. They specialize in capital projects. She's a specialist. So she came, gave a tour. We had lunch. It was wonderful. She got to know our district. I attended the ACHD Finance Committee, Executive Committee, and Board meeting. I also attended the ACHD webinar series of 2024 legislative highlights. That's where I get all my legislative information of what's happening, especially around right now my ear to the ground on SB 525. Attended that. I also, along with Adriana, we attended the Community Foundation's Women's Fund Luncheon. And then also I attended the Career Technical Education, also known as CTE, advisory meeting at Soledad High School. We're one of their advisors. This is important because this allows the school district to get funding that they need in order to maintain this program and keep it going for our community. And then lastly, today, Rochelle Norian, who you guys all met, she's a public affairs field coordinator for the coastal network of CSTA. We took her around and gave her a beautiful tour. She got to see the kind of the innards of our operations today, and just really enjoyed seeing what we do and who we are as a district as well. And thank you again always for your support and leadership, and that concludes my reports.
Any questions?
Pretty thorough.
How about the strategic plan? We did that in March and there was supposed to be a final draft. I don't think we've seen our
She's
plan
waiting,
yet.
you know, and the reason being is we're waiting for the feedback of our staff. So,
So it's still in progress being prepared.
Yep, so, when do we have it? We're in May, so June, middle of June, we have a slated date. And then once we get their feedback on the same topics, then we'll be able to finalize that and showcase it to everybody. Okay, that concludes my report.
Okay, we're going to adjourn, go into closed session. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you guys.